Attention, liberal arts majors, future world changers, policy nerds, and anyone hoping to start a career in Washington, D.C. You are about to discover how to make your dreams come true. You are about to discover how you can stop the endless online applications, stop writing cover letters altogether, and stop going to those awkward job fairs. In this video, I'm going to share with you a practice that people have been using not only in Washington, D.C., but across the country for decades. To land the jobs they want without applying online, writing a cover letter, or attending any type of job fair. I just put a name to it, the steadfast spirit. In fact, with what I'm going to share with you today, sooner than you might imagine, people will be approaching you with opportunities. Dear DC hopeful and fellow world changer, if you want to have a career that gives your life meaning, if you want to change the world, and you dream of doing it in a place like Washington, D.C., then this is going to be the most important video you ever watch. Why do I think this? Because this has all changed my life in a totally dramatic way I could have never dreamed. My name is Tommy Peavyhouse. I am the founder of DC Hopefuls, DC Hopefuls Fellowship, and DC Boot Camp. In my day job, I'm the senior intelligence analyst at the Military Commissions, working on the lead 9/11 case, which is the biggest criminal terrorism case in history. This is the type of work books will be written about and has the potential of totally changing how we approach the war on terror. But what I am most proud of are the dozens of young professionals I have personally and intimately helped launch their own careers in Washington, D.C., while more broadly guiding hundreds down the path of success. But you want to hear something crazy? A few years ago, I was a pretty big failure by all accounts professionally. 3.5 years ago, I found myself unemployed 4 days away from my wedding day. 10 months before that, I had been fired from a job in Washington, D.C. It's true. I landed my first job right out of undergrad through an amazing friend. I went from Fayetteville, Arkansas to working in the Pentagon and attending graduate school at American University within a matter of weeks. Yet 5 years into DC, I was miserable and lost. I wanted a career in real national security or international relations so badly, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even get close. Despite landing a job right out of undergrad at the Department of Defense, I wasn't doing the work I wanted to be doing. A year into DC, I began a 2-year marathon of applying to 220 jobs before landing my first interview, who I never heard from again. The adults couldn't help me. None of the high-ranking government officials or career coordinators knew how to help me. They made intros, but they never went anywhere. In undergrad, the head of my department had responded with, "Well, you can Google it," when I asked him if I should attend grad school or law school or just try to find a job in Washington first. Google it. That was the answer I got after thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of study. Effin' Google it. Eventually, I extended graduate school, adding another $3,000 to my already $60,000 in student debt, even though I had no debt coming out of undergrad. I watched as several people ahead and behind me in my program at the Pentagon lives were totally taken over with panic, as none of us could find jobs. Eventually, after 300 plus applications, resulting in 3 interviews over 38 months, I took the only job I could get, and I told myself to just be happy with it. And then the real nightmare began. In truth, I had given up on any type of career I actually wanted and tried to just come to terms with this fact. But after 6 months, I couldn't accept this fact, and I started sending out resumes and awkwardly networking. 4 months later, over 50 applications out, and no interviews. Then I came up with an idea that was so insanely obvious, I'm embarrassed to say it out loud. No more online applications, no more cover letters, no more structured networking events, and no more job fairs. In fact, with this new approach, I found myself over time turning down several job offers. I couldn't believe it. I discovered the steadfast spirit, and in less than 4 months after deciding maybe I should try out politics, I had a job on the Virginia's governor's race, despite being told without prior campaign experience I had no chance. It actually made me sick to think of the thousands of hours I had wasted applying online and getting nowhere. Following our campaign victory, I was in search of my next job. With this new approach, I landed 14 interviews in 10 weeks following the campaign, compared to the 3 interviews I had received in the previous 5 years. The result? 10 months before that, I had been fired from a job in Washington, D.C., yet I felt like an entirely new person now, and 3 days from my wedding day, I was picking up my mom from the airport, there we were on my wedding day, when I got the call, offering me a job working at the Department of Homeland Security Domestic Nuclear Detection Office as an intelligence analyst despite not having the necessary clearances or experience. I continued applying this new steadfast spirit both at work and outside in my professional networking, and 2 years later was approached about becoming the senior intelligence analyst on the lead 9/11 case without having ever applied. And best of all, quickly, young job seekers from my alma mater, the University of Arkansas, started reaching out for my help. As I casually offered my method, word quickly spread. Suddenly, I was fielding 5 to 10, sometimes 15 calls a week. Word quickly spread that there was this guy in D.C. who was actually willing to help and tell them what others wouldn't. At first, I was worried that my success was a fluke and it wouldn't work for other people. But I shared my story, my notes, my ideas, and I gave my guidance. And you know what happened? Those who were willing to put in the effort and do it the way I was teaching began discovering amazing opportunities, just like I had. It was awesome. I had discovered the way Washington, D.C. and the world for liberal arts majors really works. Without going farther into debt for more and more degrees, without having to send random LinkedIn messages to total strangers, without spending $550 on a professional resume writer, I'm bitter about that one because that one I fell into, without spending thousands of dollars on career coaches. In fact, they actually got a lot of free coffees and lunches while having fun. Sounds pretty crazy, like it's too good to be true. Hey, I understand. Sometimes I still can't believe how my life was turned around and the fact that people look to me for their career guidance. All I ask is you hold off from disbelieving long enough to see the evidence for yourself. It will take just a few more minutes, and hopefully soon you will believe you too can achieve all the success I and all my DC hopefuls have enjoyed, with far less work and heartache that I had to endure. This is my goal, for you and others like you to get what you want without facing the unnecessary frustration, heartache, and disappointment that I did. Look, here's the cold hard truth that you won't ever hear at your career office. Most universities have no idea how to help you in the real world. Universities are run by academics, and to academics, school is the only world they've ever known. They study the real world and write about it, but they don't know how to help you thrive in it. School is safe, it has structure, there's a class schedule, you get a syllabus, and there are grades to tell you exactly how you performed. It lulls you into this false sense of security and structure that does not exist in the real world. Everyone's focus is centered around getting your degree, as if the world then owes you success because you passed some test in an old building. Add the internet to this mindset, and now there is a perfect storm of disaster for an entire generation of liberal arts majors. Here's why. The internet has let career advisors send you links to job announcements and think they somehow did their job. You can then hide behind your monitor, finding all these cool jobs and daydreaming about what your life would be like there. And then you get an automated message saying no thanks, or worse of all, you never hear back. Take it from me, applying to hundreds of jobs eats up thousands of hours of your time, it eats up your soul, and it doesn't work. This is a real email I got, and I want you guys to just take a real quick second to look at it. It was on March 25th, 2013. Thank you for your interest in application for the staff assistant position. Our office received over 700 applications. Think about that. How are you supposed to compete against 700 other applicants? Applying online rarely results in interviews, and the interviews it gets you are not the ones you probably want. Anyone who is so disconnected from their field that they need random online applications to fill a role is a red flag that they are not connected in their field, or people in the field know better than to take that job. I've seen several people finally land a job after countless applications, only to make it to DC and quickly burn out because the job is horrible. To make matters worse, for years I was told that up to 80% of jobs are never posted online or not truthfully posted, meaning they already have the candidate they want. I never wanted to believe it, but sadly, it is true. None of the interviews I've landed over the last 4 years came through online announcements. Twice, I've been hired for a job, then told to apply online real quick to appease HR. Think of the dozens of poor saps still applying to those jobs while I was negotiating the salary. Managers want to alleviate risk and save time. They want someone to come recommended and already vouched for. So they lean on their own professional network to find good candidates. Which is great because it can allow technically less qualified candidates, like me for every job, a chance. The internet has pushed a whole generation away from what actually works. It has lured us into this world where we think all these hundreds of job announcements are real and that eventually someone will interview us. At this point, you are probably asking, okay, so how can I do what works? How can I become the person who skips the line by practicing the steadfast spirit? It is actually really simple and not too sexy. Get old school. Here's what I mean. People in DC have become their LinkedIn profile. They only want you to see their accomplishments and how great they are. They love to tell the world their DC story. What they don't want you to see is how they got there and how unglamorous it really was. They often don't share their real stories. So over time, I learned how to get people to share their real stories. And they shockingly were all very similar. This was the basis for me developing the steadfast spirit. By quickly mimicking what they had done, and I had already mastered the first thing they all did, which was getting people to tell them their real story, not their social media story, I began to see a gradual and incredible turnaround. See, people who truly get it don't randomly message strangers. They don't write cover letters. They don't go to job fairs or pay recruiters. They definitely don't pay resume writers. Instead, they use the practice I deemed the steadfast spirit. This is the basic set of principles and steps that have changed my life. This is the stuff people have been doing for decades, hence why I said get old school. The problem is that nobody is out there teaching you how to do this stuff. It's like some secret code. Well, I'm telling the secret because it shouldn't be a secret. My system is based on 2 key questions. Can you manage yourself? And can you create, maintain, and manage professional relationships? That's it. No matter what the career counselor, professor, intern coordinator, recruiter, or online guru wanting thousands of dollars tries to tell you, these are the only 2 things you must master. Being able to truthfully answer yes to these 2 questions turned my life around. It turned me into someone who is doing exactly what I wanted for the pay I wanted. And by asking others these 2 questions, I have been able to accelerate their transformation into success. And guess what? With the right tools and time, you can answer yes to these 2 questions too. I don't care where you live, who you know, if you are shy, or how good your grades were or are. In fact, when you learn my system, you learn how to use every part of your background and experiences to your advantage, and before you realize it, you will have people reaching out to you about jobs and opportunities that will never be on a job board. This strategy is the missing link between having the career of your dreams or years of frustration. Building out a professional network the right way is much easier and painless than randomly messaging people out of the blue or going to those awkward networking events. It is also a lot more fun than hiding behind a computer, aimlessly applying to jobs you have no chance of landing. And when you develop the steadfast spirit, you'll go from that aimless applicant to a well-connected prospect juggling all your options. Creating, managing, and maintaining relationships is easier than you think. With the right steps and information, it really will be as easy as talking to a friend. Best of all, I've drastically reduced the amount of work it will take on your end. I truly believe I have shaved off several years of struggle for the right type of people's careers. Up until you began watching this video, you were like I was, staring at 2 possible outcomes. At some point, give up entirely on your dream, or succeed at a nearly intolerable cost. I believe I can give you a 3rd option. Option 3 is reaching your dreams with a lot of hard work, but with the ability to minimize all the unnecessary mistakes and consequences that come with those mistakes. which inevitably drastically cuts the time to get your career and your life to the place you want. And here is how. I have put all of this information into one simple online course called DC Bootcamp. These are the insanely simple secrets of the most successful people I've met in Washington, D.C. Originally, I wrote all of this down because I was helping so many people who all had the same struggles, that I thought it might be easier to send them some typed up simple steps before we talked just to save some time. But I couldn't keep up with the demand. So I got on Amazon, bought a microphone, and put everything into this simple 17-module course. In this course, I provide step-by-step instructions on what I did to turn my career around. These modules are designed to be watched in order over a series of several weeks. These modules have already been transforming the lives of several of my current DC Hopefuls Fellowship members. This is Casey. Casey wrote, "This was the perfect crash course on how to do DC." This is Elliot. He wrote, "The DC Hopefuls website is a great way to get information, but taking part in the modules with Tommy will build on what you have learned through the website. I hope you all get as much out of these modules as I did." This is Mark. Mark Cameron wrote, "Tommy's webinar series on networking in DC is the class every postgrad wishes he or she had in college." This is Amanda. Amanda wrote, "So far the modules have taught me the importance of dedicating sufficient time to my resume and why I have been struggling at building a network. I didn't even realize all of the mistakes I've been making. This is the best thing I've done for my career in months. I urge anyone looking to take that next step in their career to join me in this new experience." You can only find these modules here. Until recently, these were available to a very select few members of my first mentorship group and eventually the select members of DC Hopefuls Fellowship. However, very soon you'll have the opportunity to enroll instantly into DC Bootcamp and have all these lessons available to you whenever you want. Here's just a small taste of what you'll discover in the DC Bootcamp. You will discover the importance of a resume. You'll learn how to use a resume the right way. You'll learn the resume writing is a skill and how to master that skill rather than pay someone $550 every time it needs an update. You'll learn how to create a good resume and then a great resume. You'll learn how to use a master, standard, and specific resume. You'll learn the difference between cheerleaders, feedback friends, career investors, references, and contacts. You'll learn how to create contacts by starting with the people you love. You'll learn how to stay on a new contact's radar and convert them into a career investor. You'll learn how to create a system of self-management that keeps you on point, motivated, and happy. You'll learn how to identify your goals by working them backwards each step of the way. You'll learn how to ditch the elevator pitch and get people to make their story our story. I'll show you why USA Jobs is a waste of time and how to circumvent it. You'll also receive additional papers, guides, and templates to help you along the way. There is a lot more, including my favorite lesson, the power of the contact snowball. How you can build and deepen your professional network simultaneously by creating new contacts you will be converting previous contacts into career investors. If you are willing to put in the work, then without fail, you will develop a professional network that is heavily invested in your personal success by making you aware of opportunities that is not on any job boards. Has any career advisor or mentor shown you how to do that? Do the people you know from school or work have this ability? Chances are they don't. But you will. This is Brianna. She writes, "My interviewers even told one of my references that they didn't even need to call her because they liked my resume so much that they wanted to hire me right away. Everything he had told me was true, and it did take time. It took continuous reviews of my resume from friends and connections, sitting down to really study what Tommy was telling me, and sending Tommy thousands of emails, calling him frequently to ask questions and advice. At the beginning of last semester, I had no idea it would take all this to get to DC successfully and to avoid making the worst mistakes in the process. To make a long story short, what Tommy says is true, and following his advice truly pays off. I am proof that it works." Here's the bottom line. After finishing DC Bootcamp, you will drop the aimless online applications, clueless cover letters, and stop feeling lost. Soon your friends, classmates, and coworkers will be begging you for help. I've seen so many people who have taken this course quickly find themselves mentoring their peers. Once you own this course, you will get skills you can use for the rest of your life. Skills that nobody can ever take from you. Skills that are timeless and will work today, tomorrow, and probably 100 years from now. And it's so easy too. Just follow the 17 modules I lay out, and before you'll know it, professional opportunities will be coming your way. Then another, and then another. Until before you realize it, you'll have mastered the practice you need to succeed at 22, 32, 42, 52, and 62. Eventually, the hardest part will be timing it all, because you don't want to unleash your network until you are ready for that next job, because you know it may come too quickly. In addition to DC Bootcamp, I want to offer you the product I am actually most proud of. I want to invite you to become a member of the DC Hopefuls Fellowship. This is your opportunity to partner up with me and several other eager and incredibly helpful DC Hopefuls in joining our community centered around helping each other. The worst part of my professional struggles was feeling alone. Feeling like I was the only person who needed help and wishing I had a place to vent, learn, and share. Well, now that place exists. It took me hundreds of hours to create a professional network of 30 people, and when you join DC Hopefuls Fellowship, you get that instantly. This is your instant, ready-to-go network of people just like you. What you may not realize is that the best contacts you can make are those in your peer group. I have landed 4 jobs that I can trace back to one of my best friends. Often we desire to meet the congresswoman or undersecretary, when it's the staff assistant or junior analyst who knows when people are quitting, what offices may be hiring, and how best to navigate the waters of your field. You will and want to meet some senior level people, but it usually starts with someone in your own peer group. DC Hopefuls is that community I needed. Within our private Facebook group, members share opportunities, ask me questions, ask the group questions, and just vent when they need to. Members network with each other and help each other build their own independent professional networks outside of our community. We have created our own resume bank. This is a place to look at other resumes to borrow best practices. One of the things I teach is the importance of seeing as many other resumes as possible. We also use the resume bank to get feedback and input on our own resume, since I always advocate for getting as many eyes on a resume as possible. We have an accountability partner program where members who participate are matched with another member for the month and work with each other to identify monthly goals and hold each other accountable in meeting those goals. Most impressively, we have created a shared contact list where each member has listed any and all organizations they have worked, interned, or have close contacts in. This type of instant insider access to over 100 organizations would have taken you years of networking to accomplish. To this day, I don't have that extensive of a network, and you can have it today. Most importantly, you get to be a part of a community. Outside of Facebook, we try to hold monthly meetings for all members and social gatherings for those already in DC. When you join DC Hopefuls Fellowship, I want to personally ensure you are succeeding, so I set up monthly lunches for our first 4 months. Although we usually don't physically eat lunch together, although I guess we can, I provide you a link to schedule a call with me during lunch each of the first 4 months to go over your progress and give you individual attention. My number one priority is making sure you absorb this information and put yourself on a path to incredible success. This is Will. Will wrote, "Interested in working in DC? You are in the right place. Working with Tommy has allowed me to carry myself higher, network with more people than I ever expected, and gain valuable job experience. It is important to professionally set yourself apart from your competition. Tommy has helped me mature into a more competitive job candidate. Yes, a clean resume helps, but it's what's under the hood that counts the most. Tommy understands this and prioritizes you over your job. His knowledge of the DC job jungle, personability, and desire to help you has created a community built on DC knowledge and collaboration. If you have been bitten by the DC bug, join us here at DC Hopefuls." This is Kaylin. Kaylin wrote, "Due to the support of my peers and Tommy offered during those 7 weeks, I had a new job within 2 weeks of election day." This is Guy. Guy wrote, "Just wanted to write to thank Tommy for all the work that he has put into this amazing community. His expertise in the DC job search is unrivaled, and the amount of time and thought that goes into each lesson is apparent. Every video in DC Bootcamp is concise, yet immensely impactful and informative. So glad to have come across DC Hopefuls Fellowship and to have the opportunity to learn from someone as knowledgeable and approachable as Tommy. Looking forward to this community's continued growth and success." This is Serena. She writes, I'm a rising college sophomore, and as a current public policy major, I wanted to gain some experience in the nonprofit sector. Within a few weeks, Tommy put me in touch with the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative. As an intern, I'll be gaining skills in data analysis, synthesis, and fundraising. Thanks to DC Hopefuls, I'll spend this summer learning the ins and outs of nonprofit work, knowledge that I'll be able to implement in the future when I pursue my dreams of starting my own education nonprofit for at-risk youth. Okay. So what does this all cost? I had people tell me this course was more valuable than anything they learned in college because it actually helped them land a job. So I thought, alright, I charge the cost of one college class. Sadly, I ran the numbers, and I did not want to charge people over $1,000. So for DC Bootcamp, I settled on $5 per module. So for the entire course, it's $85. For the DC Hopefuls Fellowship, I couldn't come up with a price. There's such an insane amount of value, but I want to make sure it's accessible to all types of people. So I settled on $1.50 per day. This is the cost of a 20-ounce soda at my office. So $45 per month, I'm offering you membership into our amazing community, and for $85, you can have DC Bootcamp. But for a limited time, I'm willing to give you the DC Bootcamp totally free, just if you sign up today to be a part of DC Hopefuls Fellowship. Why am I doing this? Well, because I care deeply about the members of my fellowship group, and I want to expand their network. Right now, we are hovering around 30 members, and I want to get that number to around 60. I believe this is the perfect number, but I want the right type of new members. I want members who are developing the steadfast spirit and know how to network properly. And the only way I could think to assure that is to give you DC Bootcamp access totally free. There's no risk either. I'm going to give you the first full week for $1. If you like it, you'll be charged $45 on day 8. So you can make absolutely sure this is all for you. You can quit at any time, there's no contracts or requirements, and any time within the 30 days of the $45 charge, you can still change your mind and I'll provide a full refund. Literally, you have nothing to lose. History tells me that over 92% of people who sign up love it and do not leave. But just to be safe, I'm still going to provide you that first 7 days for $1. Plus, I'm including the 4 mentoring lunches for the first 4 months totally free as well. I really do plan to stop the group at 60, so I encourage you to act now. Here's how to order. Click the sign up button below and simply fill out the form. After you fill out the entire form, email instructions will be sent to you on how to access everything. Look, if you've made it this far into my video, I know you want a future that means something, and you are smart enough to seek help. Otherwise, why would you still be watching? There is nothing to lose. Take a chance. Join us.